One big difference between Belarusians compared to Americans and Australians are the size of the people. So the height is about the same, but the width is a lot different. In general, Belarusians are fairly slim, and even the ones that are fat are not that fat. Just a little bit, 10, 15, 20 kilos. Whereas in the West, much more people are overweight, and when some people are overweight, they're like really overweight, like really, really big, like 100 kilos of fat or 150 kilos of fat. This kind of level of extra weight. And this place here is often blamed, McDonald's. But in reality here in Belarus, you also have McDonald's. Down here you have KFC, Domino's Pizza, and all of the fatty foods that we also have in the West. So I was thinking, why are Belarusians not fat? And I have 4 reasons for you. The first one is the portion size. When you go to a restaurant in Belarus, you're reading the menu, and it tells you how many grams are in that meal. 250, 350. You already know the size of the meal coming to you, and the size of the meal is generally just like a reasonable size. Probably maybe 500 calories, maybe 700 at most in one meal. And this is normal. Whereas in Australia and America, first of all, they don't tell you the weight of the food. You just get what comes to you, and chances are it's more like 500, 600, 700, even 800 grams for one meal. So the meals that we get fed and then we get used to eating are at least double the size of Belarusian meals. And I know when I first moved to Minsk that I was eating 2 meals every sit down because my stomach was so used to these larger size meals. So the fact that Belarusians just eat normal size meals means that they're not getting fat. Another big factor here in Belarus is the social pressure. There is some formal social pressure to stay in reasonable shape. And I'll give you an example. I was at my university maybe 2 months ago now, and the administrator, who is a lady around, I think, 73 years old. So kind of old babushka, kind of this high, the same width as height, kind of old babushka. And she came up to me with a big frown on her face, and she poked me in the stomach like this. She said, "Benjamin, you need to go on diet. When I meet you first time, you're not fat like this. You need to go on diet, really. What do you eat?" So she's investigating my diet, and she's trying to help me. And when she was poking on my stomach like this, I'm like, "Что делаешь?" And I'm like, why are you doing that? I didn't care too much either way, but I'm like, why are you doing this? And then she made me feel uncomfortable for about that long, 1 second. And I understood very quickly that she's trying to help me. She wants to help me. She knows that I'm looking fatter. I'm getting podgier. My stomach's getting fatter. Everything's getting fatter. And she noticed it, and she's doing me a favor. In Belarusian culture, she's helping me. And I appreciated it. It was good feedback for me. And then I saw her the next day, and again, same routine. Poke, poke, poke on my stomach. "Benjamin, you must go on a diet. When I first meet you," blah, 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 same speech again. Now in the West, if this had happened, the chance of me, or the person in my situation, complaining to the university is very high, and the chance of her losing her job because of this is also incredibly high as well. So this social pressure plays a role, and it helps people to stay in better shape than they would be in Australia or America, where we have this kind of manufactured, created hypersensitivity where you can't try to help people. Now, of course, sometimes you can be really mean and whatever, and this is what it's trying to stop in the West, but at the same time now, you haven't got this social pressure, and this is definitely one factor that's caused Western, American, Australian stomachs to just bloat out. Third big factor that helps Belarusians be a lot slimmer than Americans and Australians, and that is the way you build your cities. So in Australia and America, we build our cities very flat, just one level, one house with some land, and then we build sideways. So we have very wide cities, but not very high cities. And what that means is that to get anywhere, it takes us a long time. So in Minsk, you might have 1,000 people living in a small area, so you can have a little supermarket at the bottom of the apartment block because there's enough people there to warrant the little supermarket being there, but not so in Australia. So in Australia and America, if you live in the suburbs, you have to drive somewhere. You have to drive to the local shopping centre. Otherwise, you can't really shop. You haven't got this local shops feeling, this local magazine. Whereas here you have this. There's an Apteka, there's a Sasidi, a few other shops around in every single street almost. And what this does is it means that you guys in Belarus, you walk a lot more. You walk to the shops. You can walk to the shops. And of course, what it also means is your public transport, is very efficient because there's so many people in such a small area. So your public transport works really well compared to America and Australia. So it's a really good option. And again, because everything's so close, you tend to walk. So example today, it's a nice sunny day. I know where I want to go. It's only 10 minutes walk. I'll walk. Beautiful, get some sun. Look at it, lovely day. Whereas Australia or Americans, straight in the car, drive in the car down to wherever they're going to go. So you get all this extra exercise in Minsk that you don't get in maybe Melbourne, for example, or a mid-tier, mid-size American city. And this happens all the time, including the metro. Every time you go on the metro, step, 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 down, enter, down to the platform, step, 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 step. I'm going to my friend's house now. He lives on level 4 in the centre, so I'll walk up again, 4 flights of steps. When I get back home, I also live on level 4. Up we go, up we go. And what I've noticed here is actually my legs are looking much bigger and more defined, more muscles in my legs. Whereas in Australia, we just don't have this exercise. If we want to exercise, we go to the gym, which most people don't do. So this is a big factor. Just those extra few calories every day. As I say that, somebody riding a bicycle past, good timing to see the active nature of Belarusians. And finally, a big difference between Belarus and Australia is the quality of the food in the supermarkets. Sadly, in Australia, approximately half of the supermarket are kind of sugared processed foods, sugared processed cereals, biscuits, chocolate, confectionery, soda. Roughly half of the supermarket is food that you really can't eat. Whereas here in Belarus, I would say only maybe 10% of the supermarket is like this. The rest has much higher quality foods, a lot more variety in terms of quality, a lot more fresh food as well. And I think this plays a big role. I think if you want to eat everything in the Australian supermarket, you're eating this a lot of sugar and you're going to put on a lot of weight, and it's a lot of low quality food as well. Whereas again, here in Belarus, you go to the dairy section, there's just so many options of delicious dairy products. Just as an example, also the deli area, different kinds of chicken and sausages and meats. And we just don't have this in Australia. Too much of it's processed and low quality. And this contributes hugely to our larger waistlines.